Good morning and welcome to Title Talk. I'm Karen Hamstra and it's Monday, April 22nd. And I want to tell you first of all about some new audiobooks I'll be adding later this week. These are mostly ones we've already talked about the book, so I'm not going to go over them, but just to show you that they will be available. Lethal White by Robert Galbraith, and these are all novels. James Patterson's The Chef, Greg Iles' Cemetery Road, Anne Hillerman, The Tale Teller, and I will say that I am about a third of the way through the regular book format of this novel, and it's really good so far if you like things Indian and along with a good mystery. I know you would like that book. And then we have Neon Prey by John Sanford. And then, as you might guess, we have a few books too. The first one is a nonfiction book. I have just a couple of those. The Infographic Guide for Entrepreneurs, and this is found at 658.022 LYT, and it just has all kinds of graphics in it that would help you if you're running a business, like what's in a logo, sell yourself without selling out, being social, what channels should I use, home office, where does work end and life begin, keep your cool during dry spells, the annual review, running your business, technology and equipment, you name it. This has some information in it in a really nice format. And then we have Quick Prep Cooking with Your Instant Pot. And it has 75 big flavored dishes that require minimal work. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory. It's at 641.587 BUN, and it will be on the new bookshelf. And it too, of course, is very nicely illustrated. Once again, I would like to remind you to pick up this month's book page. We still have a few of these left, and we would love to see the rack be empty by the end of the month. And notice this book that's on the front cover by Alexander McCall Smith. Well, guess what? Here it is in the flesh. The Department of Sensitive Crimes by Alexander McCall Smith. It is recommended by Alan Bradley, who is another one of my favorite authors. And the gist of it is that in the Swedish criminal justice system, certain cases are considered especially strange and difficult. In Malmö, the dedicated detectives who investigate these crimes are members of an elite squad known as the Sensitive Crimes Division. And these are their stories. The Department of Sensitive Crimes, Alexander McCall Smith. We have another book that I have read part of, and it's off to a good start too. Jean M. Dams, who is a Hoosier author. She lives up at South Bend, and this is part of her Dorothy Martin series, A Dagger Before Me. The Dorothy Martin books take place in England. Dorothy is a transplanted Hoosier who married a Brit and now lives there full time, and they are just really a lot of fun. If you haven't tried Jean M. Dams, I would really encourage you to do so. We have one called Bluff by Jane Stanton Hitchcock, and with the last name like Hitchcock, how could it be anything but a mystery? And this says, there has never been a better time for revenge. One-time socialite Maud Warner polishes up the rags of her once glittering existence and bluffs her way into a signature New York rainy restaurant on a sunny day in October. When she walks out again, a man will have been shot. That book was featured on the Chapter a Day online book club a month or so ago. It did get off to a really big bang, no pun intended, right at the beginning, and seemed like it would be a good read. Alistair Burke has a new one, The Better Sister, and it too is a mystery. It says, keep your enemies close and your sister closer. Though Chloe was the younger of the two Taylor sisters, she always seemed to be the one in charge. She was the honor roll student with big dreams and an even bigger work ethic. Nikki, always restless and more than a little restless, was the opposite of her ambitious little sister. She floated from job to job and man to man and stayed close to home in Cleveland. And then goes on to nearly 15 years later, what happened between the two sisters. Obviously, there's a mystery involved there. The Lost History of Dreams by Chris Waldhair. This is a romance novel. Well, let's see if anybody known to us recommends it. Well, perhaps if you are a real romance reader, you will recognize the names Hazel Gaynor, Heather Webb, Crystal King, Clarissa Harwood, Alyssa Palumbo, and Greer McAllister, who all have wonderful things to say about The Lost History of Dreams. And so does Erica Swiler. All love stories are ghost stories in disguise. When famed Byronesque poet Hugh de Bunn is found dead in his bath one morning in 1850, the task of burying his body falls to his estranged cousin. De Bunn's will instructs that he should be buried in an unusual chapel, a stained glass folly set on the Shropshire moors, built to house the remains of his beloved wife and muse Ada. It has since been locked to all outsiders, especially the rabid, cult-like fans of de Bunn's final book, The History of Lost Dreams. Only Ada's grief-stricken niece, Isabella, holds the key, but she refuses to open the glass chapel unless Robert agrees to her bargain. Before he can lay Hugh to rest, Robert must record the real story behind her aunt's ill-fated marriage over the course of 5 nights of recording. Henry Himself by Stuart Onan. This is about a man named Henry Maxwell, who was soldier son, lover, husband, breadwinner, churchgoer, and he spent his whole life trying to live with honor. A native Pittsburgher and engineer, he's always believed in logic, sacrifice, and work. Now 75 and retired, he feels the world has passed him by. It's 1998, the American century is ending, and nothing is simple anymore. His children are distant, their unhappiness a mystery. Only his wife Emily and dog Rufus stand by him. So this is Henry's story by Stuart Onan. And then we have one called A Boy and His Dog and the End of the World by C.A. Fletcher. This one is just a novel, no specific category. It says, "My name's Grizz. My childhood wasn't like yours. I've never had friends, and in my whole life, I've not met enough people to play a game of football. My parents told me how crowded the world used to be before all the people went away. But we were never lonely on our remote island. We had each other and our dogs. Then the thief came. And there may be no law left except what you make of it. But if you steal my dog, you can at least expect me to come after you. Because if we're not loyal to the things we love, what's the point?" It says, an unforgettable novel from a singularly powerful voice, A Boy and His Dog at the End of the World, is a fiercely compelling tale of survival, courage, and hope in a world transformed. Courting Mr. Lincoln by Louis Bayard. You may remember that name. He was the author of Mr. Timothy and The Pale Blue Eye. It says, when Mary Todd meets Abraham Lincoln in Springfield in the spring of 1840, he is on no one's short list to be president. A country lawyer living above a dry goods shop, he is lacking in both money and manners, and his gift for oratory surprises those who meet him. It's told in the alternating voices of Mary Todd Lincoln and Joshua Speed. It's inspired by historical events, and it creates a sympathetic and complex portrait of Mary, unlike any that has come before. So if you like historical fiction and you're an Abraham Lincoln fan, this is the novel for you. One last book, Walk of the Dead by Oscar de Muriel. See if anybody we know. Ian Rankin recommends this book. This is another mystery. It says, in the Walk of the Dead, Edinburgh's most famous detective duo must face their most metaphysical mystery yet. A mysterious woman pleads for the help of Inspectors Ian Fry and Nine Nails McGray. Her son has received an anonymous death threat right after learning he is to inherit the best part of a vast wine-producing estate. In exchange for their protection, she offers McGray the ultimate care for his sister, who has been locked in an insane asylum after brutally murdering their parents. So, you can find out all about that in The Luck of the Dead by Oscar de Muriel. I hope that gives you some hints for some good reading for you this coming week. Take care, and we'll talk to you next week.